Their story has been the stuff of headlines.
Members of the Lev Tahor sect fled to Ontario.
And endless curiosity. In a modern age of people seemingly desperate to embrace the past.
We want to go backwards, exactly like original Judaism.
A run from Quebec in the middle of the night kept them ahead of authorities there. Now the investigation is criminal.
I'm a police officer.
And I'm still saying, shame on you for involving children.
Mr. Goldman,
in a
take care of this
political-
person, please.
The allegations, child abuse.
It's not discipline, it's physical abuse.
Tonight on the Fifth Estate, the story of Lev Tahor, pure heart, and the rabbi who got into Canada as a refugee. Did you lie to get into this country?
I didn't lie to the refugee board.
Look, it's bullshit.
It was the isolation of the place that appealed to them. For months, the families of Lev Tahor had been under the scrutiny of Quebec's youth protection authorities. In rural southern Ontario, in the town of Chatham, they'd hoped they'd found a more accepting place to practice their Judaism in their own way, to raise their families according to their interpretation of ancient laws.
We want to go backwards, exactly like original Judaism is. We think that they were much, much more clever than us. Even the lifestyle was better. People were more happy.
The 35 families were still settling in when it became clear that even having run all this way, they hadn't escaped the authorities after all. With our cameras rolling, Lev Tahor spokesman Uriel Goldman discovers the police are back in his community, this time with a search warrant.
Mr. Goldman? There are more officers that are over there at their house, so you want to come and speak to them?
Goldman is rattled and for a moment forgets the cameras as he whispers urgent orders.
Vermacht alle, wir gehen alles auf den Office. Keine so nicht kommen, du alle Computer, bitte, die mich
Alles weg,
jetzt, alles weg, vermachen, pusht vermachen.
The late January day is bitterly cold. For the community, it's just further evidence the authorities are out to get them.
It's a sweet revenge from Quebec. The punishment, we left Quebec, we must receive a punishment. So this is the punishment.
Shame on you. Shame on you.
Sir,
Shame
I'm doing my
Yeah,
job
and
now. I'm a
still
police
saying,
officer.
And I'm still saying, shame on you for involving children.
Mr. Goldman,
in a
take care of this
political-
person, please.
It will later be revealed the police are investigating allegations of abuse, beatings, confinement, marriages between underage girls and older men. But on this afternoon, no one's telling the community or their lawyer that.
What specifically are you looking for?
It's computers and hardware.
Okay.
Okay.
And why?
We're doing an investigation.
A Quebec court has already ruled 14 of the children should be removed from their families. Lev Tahor is fighting it.
I don't know what's going on, and I know that something very abnormal happening. It's terrorizing our community.
It was just the day before the police search that the community was putting its best face forward.
They start with a prayer every day.
With the Fifth Estate in town, they were anxious to counter the allegations coming out of Quebec.
Who can tell me how many provinces are there in Canada?
10.
10, good. What is the name of the first province here where we just lived? Quebec.
And so we were invited to a geography lesson. Proof their children did learn about the secular world, they said.
Who remembers what is the capital city of Ontario? Ottawa, good.
Even if some of the details were a little off.
It have to be two things that make the fish kosher.
As for concerns their children are neglected and malnourished, we were treated to a lavish lunch while everyone got to play with what looked to be very new toys. In fairness, the community has never denied its educational priorities are different. Boys are raised to be scholars, long days of prayer and Bible study. Girls are allowed only one ambition, to become wives and mothers.
We also have a sewing class. All the girls do it twice a week. We have a cooking class. So we use practical things. So when the girls reach the age of 15, 16, they feel confident.
Confident to be married, says Malka Rosner, teacher and mother of 9, in weddings arranged by Lev Tahor's leader himself.
We also have a commandment in the Torah that you marry the earliest you can. But at the same time, we also have a commandment to respect the laws and regulations of the nation where you live.
And when those two are in conflict, which one?
They're actually, so we first must respect the laws. My oldest daughter turned 16 last year, and she married 2 months later after she turned 16. She got engaged at 15. Mm-hmm. Okay, this we do.
More than anything, it's the issue of marriages that has made the community a target, and again raised the thorny question: when does their right to practice their religion freely get trumped by society's obligation to protect children?
If we do believe that the Torah is the truth for us, and it's the God's words, why should we compromise about that? It doesn't make any sense.
Seven time zones away, just outside Tel Aviv, Oded Tvik is the other side of the debate. 8 of his nieces and nephews are in Lev Tahor, some of them are in their teens, and he's desperate to get them out before they too are married off. Oded's sister Sima has been with Lev Tahor 18 years, joined in New York when she was little more than a teenager herself.
This is a photo of her first day in the army. This is the day that she signed up to the army. And here you can see her in a family celebration. You can see that she was completely secular. I used to go out dancing with her. She was a young, beautiful, and charming young woman. She had a nice life here. 2 years after she had gone to New York, she sent a photo of a long-bearded person and told us this is her future husband. We were quite surprised.
Her husband was nearly 10 years her senior. The children followed in rapid succession. It wasn't the lifestyle Oded had hoped for his sister, but for years he believed Sima was happy, until 2011 when he traveled to Quebec for a visit.
I kind of felt that something is not right about her situation. We had some arguments. One of her sons died in 2009, and she never visited the grave. She insisted that it is against the rabbi's orders.
Back in Israel, his suspicions turned to worry. Oded started researching, reading everything he could about Lev Tahor, comparing notes with other members' families, tracking down members who'd left. What he came to understand is that the family he'd photographed in Quebec wasn't so happy after all. He says he was told that for 3 years his sister lost her children. They were placed with other Lev Tahor families who were ordered not to let her near. Internal banishment, he was told, is common punishment in the community, but not the only one.
Former members told me that people are being punished. They were fasting, not eating 3 days a week. All these punishments, like not allowing people to sleep at night, they're like zombies.
People use the word cult. Do you think this is a cult?
It is a cult, 100% a cult. A very cruel and most destructive cult.
When we visited Chatham, we asked to meet with Oded's sister repeatedly. They told us she didn't want to meet with us. Years before Oded started compiling his information in Israel, Canadian authorities were getting hints of problems at Lev Tahor. In 2007, Quebec social workers flagged a young mother who was discovered to be on antipsychotic drugs. The same year, they seized 5 children, although all were later returned. By 2011, there were allegations children weren't attending school. But it wasn't until the following year that authorities were approached by an insider who wanted to show them the big picture.
My name is Adam Protsevsky. I'm 28.
Adam Protsevsky spent 2 years in Lev Tahor, married the daughter of one of the community's founding members. His testimony in a Quebec youth protection hearing would help trigger the police investigation. We're broadcasting it here for the first time.
As I stayed in the community, I started having more and more questions about the righteousness of what was going on. The rabbi encouraged everybody to spy on each other, both children and the parents and friends.
There was spying and there was physical abuse, he said. One of Adam's jobs was to help out in the school.
One advice that I got was that whenever a boy would not do as he's supposed to, I should hit him with a wire hanger. I later discovered that hitting was a regular punishment in the community.
But his biggest revelation was about marriages. He confirmed they were arranged and sometimes involved teenagers under the legal age of 16.
How old was your wife when you got married?
She was 15, almost 16.
What cemented his testimony were the documents he brought, a computer hard drive that included marriage certificates, and a list he made of marriages, including his own, in which one of the partners was underage. Some girls had been married to much older men. What the documents also reveal is what happens to those who step out of line. In 2011, Adam and his wife were thinking of leaving Lev Tahor. Immediately, he was told to divorce her and to sign an oath accepting he had a serious mental illness.
Also, I had to subject myself to treatment for what they called borderline personality disorder.
BPD, as it's called, was not uncommon in Lev Tahor, he said, declared by the rabbi himself and subject to his own cures. Multivitamins, the Atkins diet, in some cases directions to take antipsychotic drugs. When Adam and his wife did flee, they went to the police.
I have a belief that I'm obligated to help Jewish children that are in trouble, Jews that are in trouble. And I believe that the conditions that the people living under in the community are damaging to them.
He is mentally ill, absolutely.
Back in Chatham, it's all very personal for community spokesperson Uriel Goldman. Adam Protsevsky is married to his daughter.
As a person, I have no feelings at all.
Does it hurt you, though, that these allegations are coming from within your family?
Yes, but if someone knows the person, he doesn't take it so serious, because this is the kind of person. He all his life was just fighting with others.
Whatever the community's view, Quebec's youth protection authorities took the allegations seriously. Last August, sweeping into Lev Tahor, looking for evidence of abuse. But how did such a tiny group become such a big target? And where was the man who leads them? When we come back, the man they call their rabbi, Shlome Helbrantz.
The Beit community is very wonderful people, peaceful people, people that respect the society and the human material and the law.
The man who would court such controversy in Canada grew up in Jerusalem. Shlome Helbrantz was a secular boy who discovered religion as a teenager, became obsessed with the teachings of the Jewish mystics, and at the tender age of 22 declared himself a rabbi. But a rabbi who claimed to have unique insights and who in the late 80s started recruiting in ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods for a new religious community, Lev Tahor. pure heart.
What Helbrantz preached in those early days was not so different to some other ultra-Orthodox rabbis here. Piety, modesty, especially for women. And even though they lived in Israel, strong opposition to the Israeli state. That's because they believe a state for the Jews can only legitimately be proclaimed by God and can't happen until the day their Messiah arrives. Helbrantz never claimed to be the Messiah, but there was something about his personality. To his followers, he was electric.
He starts talking to you and you're attracted to him like a magnet. I forgot where I was.
Israel Alter was one of Lev Tahor's first members and Shlome Helbrantz's first assistant.
He's very persuasive. He manages to present himself as a great man. A man who can read through other people and read their thoughts. He acts as if he's a very pious man, above the rest of humanity. In reality, as I later realized, he is the complete opposite.
Alter was different than many of Lev Tahor's followers. He grew up religious. Others who were drawn to the rabbi's tiny Jerusalem apartment tended to be from the margins, those who were experimenting with religion, those who were born again, and those who simply wanted someone to make the world make sense. Professor Menachem Friedman is Israel's foremost scholar on extreme Jewish groups. As a charismatic preacher, Helbrantz did have an appeal, he says, but nowhere near what he would later boast.
He claims to have tens of thousands of followers around the world.
No, that's pure bullshit. He has very, very few followers. He's not even a spiritual leader. He's not a great scholar. He attracts people in the margin because of his extreme ideas.
Helbrantz would later claim it was those extreme ideas about Israel that led him to be persecuted. But no one here remembers it that way. One morning in 1990, people just woke up to discover the rabbi and his little band of followers gone. Whatever his reasons for leaving Israel, this is where Shlome Helbrantz ended up. Borough Park, Brooklyn. Home to some of the most influential ultra-Orthodox communities in the world. It's the kind of place that would shelter an upstart rabbi from Israel, and it did. Helbrantz found financial support and opened his own yeshiva, or religious school. But this is also a place that can turn against someone who brings trouble to the community, and that would happen too. It all started with a young boy named Shai Fima. Born in Israel, he immigrated to New York with his mother after his parents' divorce. At 13, Shai was fond of baseball and bacon, about as secular as they come. But as his bar mitzvah approached, his mother started looking for a rabbi to prepare him. The rabbi she found was Shlome Helbrantz.
The rabbi liked him very much. I told you he was a very smart boy.
Back in Israel, Shai's father, Michael Reuven, was a bit surprised, but pleased.
What the rabbi told me, that you see a big light around him, and he's going to be one of the biggest rabbis.
Do you think that would have had an impact on a 13-year-old boy?
Sure.
It did. Shai was soon spending more and more time at the yeshiva, until one day he didn't come home. When police were called, Helbrantz insisted Shai was a runaway from a broken home.
You're dealing with a kidnapping.
New York cop Bill Plackenmeyer would spend the next 2 years trying to find Shai Fima. To him, Helbrantz's role in the boy's disappearance was clear from the beginning.
I was a commander of detectives. A little deductive reasoning goes a long way. And it was so obvious. They're exhorting him to run, run, run.
But his deductive reasoning didn't prepare him for what happened next. Hours after his men arrested Shlome Helbrantz, Plackenmeyer got a visit from the district attorney's office. The DA wanted the rabbi released.
I asked them, are you saying I don't have probable cause for an arrest? And they assured me, no, that's not what we're saying at all. You have probable cause for an arrest. It's just that the district attorney would prefer that you void the arrest and let him go.
The politics were simple. The DA was up for re-election, and Brooklyn's ultra-Orthodox community represented a lot of votes.
Did you kidnap that boy like his mother said?
Of course not.
The rabbi was released. The rabbi was free, but a 13-year-old boy was still missing. Shai's family, both in New York and Israel, were frantic. The New York cops were angry, and so they turned to the FBI, who came up with a plan.
This is the poster of Shai they made on the police department in New York. And I made 10,000 copies of this.
When all the usual efforts to find his son failed, Michael Reuven was ready for anything. In a telephone call, Helbrantz had promised he'd let Reuven see Shai if he could convince the boy's mother to send a letter, agreeing to share custody with the rabbi. With the police's help, Reuven went undercover.
I was wired at this time, so everything we spoke was on the tape. He started to negotiate with me. He said, why don't you offer her money? I said, I don't have money to offer her. He said, I'll give you this money. You can offer her $50,000. Can go up to $100,000.
Where was he going to get the money from?
He had the money.
He had the money?
Yeah, he had the money. He had the money.
And why was your son so important to him that he would pay that kind of money?
I wonder about it until today.
Step aside, please. Clear it up.
The offer of cash for custody helped get Helbrantz rearrested. And once again, the Orthodox community came to his defense.
So many supporters of Rabbi Shlome Helbrantz and his wife showed up at our Brooklyn courthouse this afternoon that officers fearing a security risk limited public access to the emotional bail hearing.
He'd been gone for 2 years, but just days before the trial, Shai Fima reappeared. The teenager was still loyal to the rabbi. He testified on his behalf. But phone intercepts showed the lengths Helbrantz and his supporters had gone in hiding him, transferring him between communities, at one point across the border into Canada, and then to France, where he was stopped by French customs.
And he had phony passports. So how does a 13-year-old, unless he's not receiving help, get a phony passport?
In 1994, Helbrantz was convicted of kidnapping and sentenced to a minimum 4 years in prison. He would serve 2. The United States deported him back to Israel, but he wouldn't stay long. Within weeks, the rabbi was on the road again, looking for a new home for Lev Tahor. He'd find it in Canada. When we return.
He told me a lot. I'm special, I'm holy, I'm smart and all that. But he uses those lines for everyone.
If you're looking for privacy, the Laurentian Mountains north of Montreal aren't a bad place to find it. 6 weeks after he was deported to Israel, Shlome Helbrantz arrived in Canada and was soon rebuilding his Lev Tahor community in the town of Saint-Agathe. But as he said about regathering his flock, Helbrantz had a problem. He'd been admitted to Canada on a visitor's visa. If he wanted to stay and be legal, he'd have to change that. He first applied to become a Canadian resident, but that was stopped when authorities discovered he'd been jailed for that kidnapping in New York. And so in 2003, he tried the next best thing. Shlome Helbrantz asked Canada to accept him as a refugee. The key to becoming a refugee is to convince a refugee board you'll be persecuted if sent home. Helbrantz argued that as an anti-Zionist rabbi, he was a threat to Israel. The That argument had never been tested in Canada before, and the man who would preside over Helbrantz's hearing admits the issues were new to him. Former Refugee Board Commissioner Gilles Etier.
It's not important what I knew and what I didn't know. The thing is that I had a proof and an evidence that was put in front of me, and I had to decide with that.
He had to decide, but he wouldn't get a lot of help. Ottawa was so convinced the case would be thrown out, it didn't send a lawyer to question the evidence. 8 witnesses and documents, all claiming Helbrantz would be at risk.
Well, I think that they did not check.
We asked Professor Menachem Friedman, Israel's leading scholar on ultra-Orthodox groups, to read Helbrantz's refugee file.
When I read it, I laughed. If it was not so tragic, it is a comedy.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it at all.
That's because there are ultra-Orthodox rabbis in Israel who take their opposition to the state much further, openly aligning themselves with Iran's rabid anti-Israel leaders, for instance. And no one bothers them, says Friedman.
Their addresses are very well known, and they preach their philosophy.
But the state of Israel does not stop them.
The state of Israel has no interest in them.
But if Israel had no interest, the Canadian Refugee Board did. One witness in particular would impress Commissioner Etier, a man who claimed Israel's military ordered him to infiltrate Lev Tahor.
That was an important element, as I recall, because it illustrates the fact that the state or the government was giving some importance to this gentleman.
The witness he's referring to is none other than Uriel Goldman, today Lev Tahor's spokesman in Chatham. He testified that as a young intelligence soldier in Israel's defense force, the IDF, he was ordered to secretly spy on Shlome Helbrantz to help make a case for his arrest. Instead, Goldman says he was so taken by the rabbi, he decided to join. And yet, when we asked him about the story, Goldman became distinctly uneasy.
I really don't want to talk about that because it's a very... I know that Israel is watching very carefully. I think you can understand. I don't want to receive one day a bullet from a Mossad agent or thing like that.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is whether it's true or not. And so we went to the IDF and we asked them about Mr. Goldman and the story that he tells. And they say, we have no record of Mr. Goldman in the military intelligence.
I understand there's no record. It's a nice way. I don't want whatever, but say no record. It's the most... for you to understand, as a journalist, no, it's like someone saying no comments.
It does raise the question of whether or not, when you were testifying at the Refugee Board hearing, you were telling the truth or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though the IDF today says they have no record of you.
I understand why they say that. And this was like not a normal operation.
What was remarkable about the Helbrantz hearing is how few questions were asked. Evidence was accepted without corroboration.
Everybody was pertinent, no contradiction. They were good witnesses, and I was struck by that.
One thing that didn't need corroborating was Helbrantz's criminal record. He was a convicted kidnapper, a big obstacle for any would-be refugee. So what better strategy than to have the kidnapping victim make an appearance?
I feel really bad for what happened to the rabbi that...
Shai Fima was 24 years old at the hearing. This videotape of him next to a smiling Shlome Helbrantz was submitted as part of the rabbi's claim.
And he was prosecuted just because he introduced me to the religion. Nothing else. Not because he kidnapped me. This is why I'm here today, because I want to clear up his name.
But in researching this story, we've discovered something disturbing. Shai Fima now tells us that what he said on that videotape was a lie. Lev Tahor paid him, he says, $5,000 to make the recording, a deal he claims was arranged by the community spokesman, Uriel Goldman. Fima wouldn't talk to us on camera. He's not proud he accepted the deal. But all these years later, he feels it's important to set the record straight. Shlome Helbrantz did kidnap him, he says. No one should be in any doubt.
Commissioner Etier says that if he'd known all of that in 2003, it might have led him to assess the evidence differently. As it was, he accepted Shlome Helbrantz as a refugee, a decision that was upheld on appeal. Now, the rabbi was safe to stay and to grow his St. Agathe community.
Imaginez un peu la scène. Des Juifs, très pieux d'ailleurs.
In fact, it was just a year later this documentary again captured the image Lev Tahor wanted to project. Devoted families who simply wanted the freedom to live apart. But the happy children did not include Mendy Marcus. He was sent to Lev Tahor to attend school at age 11.
The way they make you listen is by slapping you or pinching you. And some, extreme religious people will call that discipline. But it's not discipline, it's physical abuse.
Marcus's family was extremely religious, but Lev Tahor, he says, was even more so. Prayers were noisy and lasted for hours. The competition to impress the rabbi was intense.
These people there will do anything and everything for him. He lives a beautiful life. He has beautiful chairs, beautiful silverware, all kinds of very fancy rabbi, stuff. Mm-hmm. And the people in his community have nothing.
The boy and the rabbi spent a lot of time together.
He told me a lot. I'm special, I'm holy, I'm smart and all that. But he uses those lines for everyone to get them to listen.
Today, Marcus has no trouble using the word brainwashing.
He couldn't care less about any of the God stuff. It's a tool for him to get people to follow him. And once they follow him, the God part falls away and he has pure mind control over the people.
Marcus wasn't the only visitor. Shulamit Kaminsky spent a few months in Lev Tahor. What shocked her was how unhappy they all seemed.
They all pop pills, all kind of pills. I don't know what kind of pills. They were on the shelves for people to take, freely. The rabbi orders them to take those pills, and they take it.
You saw it with your own eyes?
Yes, I did.
Almost a decade later, it's the same concerns that are now part of a criminal investigation. Among the allegations in those police search warrants, psychological control by medication, beatings, confinement, marriages of underage girls to older men. In a community where only one man has the power, only one man can provide the answers. When we come back, the rabbi speaks.
I never married children against the law. Point.
If there is any doubt as to who is the beating heart of Lev Tahor, it only takes minutes in this community to understand. In Chatham, Shlome Helbrantz is revered. Perhaps more importantly, he's obeyed.
Thank you very much.
We'd asked for a private conversation with the rabbi, but he insisted on being surrounded by at least half a dozen helpers for a conversation that would go on for more than 3 hours.
Rabbi Helbrantz, yes. It is important that the Canadian people hear you talk about the allegations.
Okay.
You say it's persecution. We have been told that it is common in Lev Tahor that children who misbehave will be hit with wire coat hangers, will be hit with wooden batons, will be hit with belts, with fists, with hands. Is this how discipline happens in Lev Tahor?
Okay. I don't want to say false. This is my policy. Just the truth, yes? To say that no child never receives a how is it in English?
Slap?
A slap of event, never and ever, it's a false. Yes, it's a false.
Sure.
But what I can to declare very strongly that physical punishment of children became used in our community a lot less than the Western society.
So people who claim that they were beaten or they saw people beaten are wrong?
People say a lie, absolutely lie.
Many things were lies, he said. The allegations he declared people mentally ill, instructed them to take medication.
And of course, I never and ever and ever and never and never offer to nobody any kind of any pills.
How many people have you diagnosed with borderline personality disorder?
It was 2 peoples.
Only 2?
Only 2 peoples. 2 peoples. One moment. 2 peoples, but I didn't diagnose. You see to where you take me? So I just try to explain to these people that they have to see a doctor, yes?
But other people have told us that they have seen many medications in this community. They have seen people taking pills all the time, and that it is about controlling the people who live here.
Okay, go to my sleep room and bring what you find of my own table there, okay?
This was the explanation. Vitamins, he said. Lots of vitamins.
Everybody taking pills, they were taking vitamins. Is that
No, it's not only not everybody take all of the vitamins. When somebody suffering from a nerves problem, yes, they could sleep or sometimes worse. So there are especially classic vitamins that I will support this person to take, the complex, magnesium. And then, if somebody diagnosed that they have to take medical treatment, I'm very extreme about it, that they have to take it.
We then asked him about marriages.
Do you marry children under the age of 16?
Okay, so now, first of all, you cannot to judge community just with yes or not. Yes, you must understand the story.
It's a simple question. Do you
No,
marry children under the age of 16?
So first of all, we never. First of all, hear what I said.
It's never happened.
It's happened. I never married children against the law. What is happening like this? I married. It was maybe 3 stories. 3 stories. The family was married in America by judge, yes. And after when they came back, they're asking me to doing the ceremony also, yes.
So 3 times it did happen, he said. 15-year-olds traveled to Missouri, where the marriage laws are different. When we suggested he'd sent them to avoid Canadian law, he bristled.
People in my community are not puppets. Mr. Goldman is not a puppet, and his daughter is not a puppet, and the children are not a puppet.
But you understand in this country it's considered child abuse, right? You understand that?
No. I didn't understand it. I don't understand it right now because you were wrong.
Whatever the moral implications, it is a crime in Canada if a much older man has marital relations with an underage girl. We asked if it had ever happened at Lev Tahor, and he denied it.
One of the questions people have.
Then we asked about that refugee board hearing, how he came to be in Canada.
There's been questions raised about whether the information that was given at the refugee hearing was true.
I didn't lie to the refugee board. I was not able to broach the real story and scream how I was prosecuted. I am not able to bring you today, Mrs. Findlay, how I'm prosecuted here in Canada.
As part of your application to become a refugee in Canada.
Just a most blessing of the coffee, one moment.
As the rabbi blessed his coffee, we told him what we learned about that videotape with Shai Fima, the kidnap victim.
We've talked to Shai.
Yes.
He tells us that he was paid to make that video.
Okay.
$5,000.
Okay, so it's absolutely false and a lie. First of all, he was not paid even 1 penny, once.
He says Mr. Goldman actually made the arrangement. Mr. Goldman, did you arrange that?
For the ticket.
You paid for his ticket?
Okay, let me tell me all of the story as I remember right now. You would pay his tickets, yes, this I remember absolutely.
You did pay his tickets?
Yes.
Did you, in addition to paying his tickets, pay him $5,000?
No, absolutely no. Absolutely no.
Why would he say that now?
Now, you ask me, why? Huh?
Excuse me.
What's the connection with where we are over right now?
No, the connection is, did you lie to get into this country?
I didn't lie to get into this country.
Did you pay Shai Fima to help you get into this country?
Okay, so choose to whom to believe. What I'll say.
The allegations have shaken this community and left them groping for an explanation as to why the authorities would target them. Their answer is as old as history: anti-Semitism.
The Jewish nation is a target from allegation already more than 3,000 years. We persecuted because our spiritual background, because we are Jews, because we are anti-Zionist, because we are extreme.
But his claim they are hated because they are Jews gets no sympathy in the Jewish state.
I think all of the ways that this sect operates is something that is contradictory to Judaism in every aspect of it.
In Israel, a parliamentary committee on the rights of the child has been gathering evidence on Lev Tahor. Even among the very ultra-Orthodox here, the Canadian community is viewed as bizarre. Israeli families who have children in Lev Tahor are pressuring their government to do something. And in turn, government representative Yariv Levin is calling on Canada to shut Shlome Helbrantz down.
He doesn't have any excuse and any reason to be recognized as a refugee, but all of that we can deal later on. Now we have to deal with the children.
Which is what Oded Tvik, from his tiny electronics shop outside Tel Aviv, has been trying to do for 2.5 years.
She got married in 2000 when she was 14.
Yes, we do understand she was more or less 14.
He used to worry about his sister and her 8 children. Now he wants everyone out.
After talking to other parents and listening to their stories, I want to fight against the whole thing. So I want to put an end to this place.
It is the children, girls in particular, who are at the center of the concerns about Lev Tahor. Each time we visited Chatham, we made a point of asking to speak with Oded's sister. It was only as we prepared to leave the last time that we were able to meet Sima, although she didn't want to show her face. With her husband sitting next to her, she denied her brother's story that her children had ever been taken from her as a punishment. He thinks that you are not happy here and that your children are not happy here.
Yeah, I told my brother everything is okay. Yeah, I'm in a good place.
Whether she is in a good place, whether any of them are, is something Canada's courts will have to decide.